Everyone to please. Thanks to everyone who came out tonight and ducked the rain before it started by the looks of it. Thank you very much. We have a relatively short couple pieces of business up front, and then we'll get into our three guests to ask them to kind of share what their organizations are doing as it relates to the borough and its residents. Could I ask for a motion to approve the agenda?
First, I'd like to move to remove the consideration of the letter of intent off of the consent agenda.
Oh, is there a motion to approve the agenda short of item number 6E? B. Is there a motion? Moved. Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the reason for that, please don't be concerned, is because 3 of us are members. And after speaking with our solicitor, he thought it best, at least for tonight, to abstain from that vote because of a potential conflict of interest, in spite of how small it is. But there's enough members here that if they agree, can certainly pass it. So that's the only reason for that. With that, is there a motion to pass the consent agenda?
I'll move to pass the consent agenda.
Thank you very much. Is there a second? Sam, Sam, thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All of the consent agendas, with the exception of the Kennett Community Grocer, pass. So let's take that up right now. Is there a motion to approve the Kennett Community Grocer letter of intent discussions, period?
Moved.
Thank you very much, Joel. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ellie. Discussion from council.
I look forward to seeing what kind of agreement we can begin to draw up, what details are that pan out.
Thanks, Joel. Is there any discussion related to this item from anyone in the audience? So with that, please go ahead. I'm sorry, Luis.
126 West Cypress. Just to be clear, it's loud enough.
Just for the people at home, the people on Zoom.
Zoom.
Okay. So I'm wondering, to be clear, the letter of intent is just a path meeting of discussion between both parties so that we can decide to move forward. No commitments. It's just, what are we going to find that are outlined in that letter of intent? And then that would be addressed if there's some things that got to be tweaked or everything's fine. Then we move to an official lease, if that's the direction. So it's not to reinvent the letter of intent, if I could be so bold to suggest. It's more to just, let's get off the ground, move forward, and then anything we find during that process of review discussions, and then we'll later adjust and hopefully move forward with a lease.
Certainly fair enough. I think there's enough difference amongst the council and some of the specific terms in that we don't want to mislead the Kennett Community Grocer on some of those key fundamentals within there, and would rather at least we have some comment from the council to share through our manager to get back to you.
Okay.
And certainly it's not a lease, it's not binding,
Right.
but certainly to make sure we're sort of in the same direction.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I am. Timothy and Kathleen abstain. The next item is a public works item to consider the bid award for Birch Street reconstruction project. Kyle, Rob?
Sure. So I'll start it and then Rob can give some more details on it. So this is the result of a few years of grant applications, more grants that stacked on top of previous grants, and about a year of design. So our public works staff, our engineer, have put a lot of time and effort into this as well as our partners along Birch Street. So the vote tonight is following all of those efforts. This is the low bid that we got back. I think we got 4 or 5 bids, and this is the low one. It matches, it's within our ability to budget for it. If approved tonight, we would get started probably in August, and it's about a year construction. So, Rob, if you wouldn't mind, could you just give some details on the sort of last minute change and where those extra funds are, how they're coming out of the road fund?
When we received all the bids, the lowest bid was still, once we started putting the engineering fees and the requirements of matching grants together, we were slightly above what our budget would be. And really, the big one was that Kennet Township was gracious enough to let us use their piece of the grant. But that means that we have to match their fees too, their match. So it pushed us slightly above. So what we decided to do was basically table some of the paving right now to see where we end up, just to make sure that we have a cushion to continue on with this project. We do have a lot of contingency built in this. A normal project this size, it'd be a 5% contingency, but we have a 10% contingency in it right now. So we do have money set aside. We don't expect to use it, which would be okay, because then you can use it for other things for the match. But we're not, we have to be careful about it so that we don't overextend ourselves.
Questions from council?
So the bid covers, I hate the lowest bidder part. So
Yeah.
just covering that, like it covers all the different variations of the job that needs to get done.
It's the bid package is pretty well set for, so we are always comparing apples to apples.
Okay. And then the other question is, just knowing that road, is there any infrastructure under the road that should be replaced before, that's not included in this? Or maybe it is included, but.
Okay, we know the gas company has already put new mains down there. We, about 10 years ago, put a new water main in there, so that's taken care of. The electric's above, so the only, and communications, so the only other thing would be the sanitary. We did have the sanitary camera. There are some cracks in it, so what we are doing is, and we do have money in the budget this year for relining. So we're focusing on that before the construction equipment touches the road. So in July, I'll be in front of you with bids for relining the sanitary on Birch before the project actually starts.
So then everything will get fixed before,
Yep.
once it's done, fingers crossed, it's.
Yeah.
get done
Once
over
it's
here.
done, we walk away, we're done, and we have a beautiful road.
Good.
And just to add, we are bound by the lowest responsive bidder. So we
Right.
have
I
had,
am always nervous.
so our engineer has gone through it to make sure that it's not, the lowest bid, but they're missing the paving, right? So
Right.
that they meet all the requirements and they're the lowest.
And I would add that Jurek is the one that is the low bidder, and our engineers have worked with them on numerous projects and speak highly of them. So I think we're in good shape.
Have you worked with Jurek at all before personally?
I have not.
No. What is, in your definition, what does slightly mean?
Slightly. What we did, Bob, was our contingency fee is basically $300,000. We have 210, but we're supposed to be matching about 390. So what we're looking at is at $90,000. which on a paving budget of almost $500,000, we're not really affecting it. We're basically just setting that $90,000 aside and basically kind of holding it back. If we can use it, we'll use it, but we want to see where the project goes and make sure that we have the matching funds.
And if we have to use it, probably impacts another road that we won't be able to do or have to do at a later time.
Right.
When is that schedule of roads coming out unrelated to this?
I can release it now. We did tweak a few things, especially after going down, for some reason, the middle of race is disintegrated on us.
Yeah.
Looks like it's got bad base.
Yeah.
So there were some changes where we're going to take care of the 100 block of South Race.
We'll build that into the capital improvement plan.
Perfect.
That'll come out in July.
Maybe at our next meeting, we talk about that and share that through Sunny's communications. Last question, probably too late. Any chance or benefit to trying to run the power lines under in the road instead of having them hang all over the place?
That would be all our expense.
Yeah, so no,
And it was, we actually looked at it and it was over $2 million.
thank you. Any discussion or questions from anyone in the audience?
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Is there, we make a
No.
motion? Is there a motion to approve the 2024 Birch Street renovation project bid from Jurek Incorporated?
I'll approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kathleen. Any other discussion from council? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And now just general, any public comment unrelated to the agenda that anyone would like to share before we get into our workshop sessions and our presentations.
John Thomas, 406 South Broad Street. I would like to know, and it's more of a question than anything else. Marshall Street. I'm still on that. I don't know why you have anything in there about parking spaces in the contract. Are you giving them parking spots?
Yeah, that was part of the negotiation to sell the building. So there are a few spots that they can use.
Now, wait a minute. What do you mean by there's few spots they can use?
Forget the exact number, but we built into that
It's
agreement.
not on the deed.
But it's in the
It's our
sale.
parking lot, and we need to put meters on there and collect rent. I mean, I didn't get any parking spots with my property. I had to buy the property. And we sold it cheap.
We didn't sell it cheap. It went through a public bid. They were the highest bidder.
No, wait a minute. How many people bid on it?
I don't remember, but it was a
One.
public bid. It was advertised.
It was advertised, but you don't have to accept the only bid there is. See,
Rather than getting in a back and forth, John, why don't you make your comments, Kyle? You can respond or anyone else can at that point.
Just cut me down because he's not explaining it right.
Well, he's not explaining it the way you want to hear, but that's what happened is there was
No,
a
no,
public
it's not,
sale.
Bob.
Okay,
Now, I'm
why
gonna
don't
tell-
you
I'm
speak?
gonna tell
You tell
I'm
us the
going
way it
to
should be,
Explain this.
and then we'll follow up.
All right. You put something out to bid. All right. You get one bidder. You don't have to accept that. You can have 5 bidders. You don't have to accept that.
You can always rebid. Yep.
All right. So just having a bidder, you said we put it out to bid and this is the bid we took. It was appraised at almost $600,000. We have over $1.3 million in that building, over $1.3 million in that building.
I can't speak to what was done before, but I can tell you that our IT room was the bathroom in there. There was a lot of work to do in that building.
I'm
That's why
telling
it
you,
wa-
that
that's
even,
why it
even
went
in the,
public.
even in the title report, it's got the assessment appraisal of $528,000. You sold it too cheap. We needed every dime we could get out of it. You sold it to one party. Now you're telling me you're gonna give them parking spots? Again,
It was in that agreement. I just don't have it.
well, who did the agreement then? Why would you give something away that
We
belongs to
voted-
us?
No, we voted on it here in public.
Oh, bull.
It was,
unless I wasn't here.
I don't know if you were here, but we voted.
Well, I
on
don't,
it
I
in
missed
public.
5 meetings in
Staff
30
can't-
years, other than the 5 months just passed.
Staff
So,
can't
believe me.
sell assets without going to council. Definitely went to council. It definitely was bid.
Well, a lot of things go to council that we don't know about. I know that. But you're giving parking spaces away again. And you people represent us. You don't represent the buyer. You people, we're the
course.
people you're supposed to be taking care of. We own that. We paid for it. Just like our sewer plant, we paid for that. You didn't pay for that. We paid for that. You know, come on.
Is there any other comment? All right, let's get into the workshop sessions. What we've been trying to do, as you've seen, is to bring associations, organizations, nonprofits that have a real impact on the borough and what the borough does in terms of support for its residents. These are some of the organizations tonight that frankly we couldn't live without. And if for some of them, if we didn't have organizations, nonprofits taking them up, are probably things that the borough should be doing in and on their own. There's some of the organizations that we support through taxpayer funds. We've got the Kennett Senior Center, we've got the Kennett Library, and we have the Kennett Consolidated School District. And what we'd like to do is to ask each of the three speakers to come up, spend 10, 15 minutes or so kind of sharing their organization, what's going on, what they think we should know, what needs they have. And then if anyone has questions, either from the audience or council, to throw them at them. So first up, let me introduce Stephanie D'Amico, who's the Executive Director of the Senior Center since 2018 during the COVID years, especially. I know that was pretty trying for you guys. The mission of the Kennett Senior Center is dedicated to improving the lives of seniors in our area, very, very broadly. Over 30 years working in nonprofits. Stephanie, please share with us what's going on at the Senior Center. And can I ask one question up front?
Sure.
When I read your mission, seniors are defined by you guys as someone who's 50 years or older.
We don't define them.
Well, some of these
Uh,
guys are over 50, so they could be customers potentially.
That's right. We have, our youngest participant is in her 40s. She had some health challenges, so she's kind of a unique outlier, but we have people from 50 to 101, with the average age being about 75 at the center. None of them call themselves seniors. You know, they say the new, 80 is the new 60, so that's important to remember. I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about the center. We are over 50 years old and we are in the borough, and yet a lot of people in the borough don't know we're there. I always tell people 1 block south of the Country Butcher, easy on-site parking. That's my motto for the center. What we do, and a lot of times when people hear the term senior center, a lot of images come into their head. People think that people live there. People think, oh, that's not for me, without exploring what's there. So I just want to share a little bit with you. And then when I'm done, I'll try to be quick. I just want to show you some pictures so you have some images. They're real pictures of what we do and what we're all about. At the foundation of what we do is we gather people together, okay? And why do we do that? Because we want to have a warm and welcoming community for anyone who wants to walk in the door and receive services. And our services are all free. The borough has supported us for many years. And we appreciate that very much, because we have, through fundraising and individual donations, we have to, through events, et cetera, we have to raise more than 50% of our budget to support the programs that we provide. when you are born, when we are born, we have a very small community. We have a parent or parents, perhaps, an extended family, perhaps. And then as we grow, our community grows. We go to school, we might go to church. Eventually, we might go to college, we might go enter the workforce, we might volunteer like you all are doing here. You have your borough council community. And we have all of these communities around us. It's what keeps people healthy and thriving and happy. As people grow older, their community shrinks from ending work, which can be very traumatic for people, sometimes losing the ability to drive, losing family, losing friends. And eventually that starts to have an impact, and it has an impact through people become isolated, and physical and mental health is detrimentally affected by isolation. So what we do at the center is we create a place to get rid of isolation. How do we do that? Through programs. Okay. Feed them and they will come. Okay. And we do that. Our kitchen, we have a commercial kitchen and a 5-day-a-week meal program that is the heart of our center. We have health and wellness programs. We have information and assistance kinds of programs, and we have volunteer programs. All of these things people come to get, and once they get there, they realize, wow, this is a fantastic place. I want to come back again. I want to have another meal. We have the best lunch meal in Kennett. $2 non-mandatory donation, which is a pass-through. It goes back to the Chester County Department of Aging, who partially funds the program, for a wonderful from-scratch home-cooked meal. We get a lot of people that way. They come in, they have a meal, and then they realize, wow, you've got that and that and that and that. You've got a free tax preparation program. You've got you can help me with a housing issue I'm having. You can help me get home repairs. You can help me understand my iPhone. You can, you have a place where I can make friends. I might not really have friends, and I'd like to have friends. So over the last year, we've had 66 unique programs from our informational kinds of things. Lynn Sinclair was our last educational presenter a week or so ago. She came in and did a very well attended presentation on the history of Kennett Square. Keep people learning, keep people growing, keep people interested and interested in their community. We have folks coming in and doing blood pressure checks. We have very strong, dedicated canasta players once a week, bunco players every other week, bingo players once a week. You think those things are fluff, but they're really not, because they keep people's minds stimulated. And on top of that, they're with other people. You're breaking that isolation circle that people can get into. And they're making friends who they see outside of the center, who they can call on the weekend and do something with. So we have a lot going on, but I'm going to remind you again, the foundation of what we do is create a community within this borough. We serve about 1,500 people a year, most of whom are from the borough. Second is the Kennett Township. Third is New Garden Township. And fourth, I believe, is East Marlboro Township. And then we serve people in literally 44 other townships or municipalities. We might only have one, but they came, 44. So it's a joyful place. We had a wonderful donation from a former board member who gave us a once in a lifetime, at least that's how it feels to me, opportunity to renovate our space during our COVID closure. So we have a wonderful, bright 11-foot ceiling, new luxury plank vinyl kind of space, fresh and clean and beautiful. Our rentals we rent our space. Our rentals have increased because of that. And that rental revenue supports these programs that are free for anyone who walks through the door. We have exercise programs 5 days a week. We have events occasionally, you know, holiday parties and things like that. We have lots of volunteers. I think at last count, we have about 250 at least volunteers who help us out. We have a husband and a wife who come 4 days a week to people who come one in, one out. Like we just had a huge, our fundraising yard sale on Saturday, 300 volunteer hours. I have to report that once a month to the county. And so I asked for that information today. 300 is what it took to pull it off. So volunteers are key. And what does volunteerism do? You all already know because you're doing it. It keeps you healthy. It keeps you involved. It keeps you stimulated. It makes you feel good about yourself. You get to meet other people and open your world. And those are the opportunities that are afforded to our volunteers as well. We help people with food insecurity. We help people with the ever baffling world of Medicaid, Medicare, and choosing plans, saving money on plans. We just ended our tax prep season a month ago or so. Thank you, Lord. That is one of the biggest, most labor-intensive projects that we do every year. 3 days a week. We did it this year. Not so sure I'm going to do that again next year. I think we're going to go back to 2. Free tax prep services geared toward low to moderate income seniors, however, open to anyone through AARP Foundation. So we served 600 or 700 people this year, completing 411 tax returns and saving an average year about $60,000 in refunds people receive, and they save $400 to $800 on tax prep services. It's a lot of money back into people's pockets, staying here, allowing them to remain in place and in their homes because you can keep their budgets healthy. So we have a lot going on. It's a place full of laughter. It's a place that kind of rose from the ashes when we reopened in April of 2022 after a 2-year closure. 70% of our people who have come over the last year are brand new, meaning they had never walked through our doors before. So by word of mouth, new people just keep coming and coming, and we keep growing and growing to the point where in some programs we're at capacity and we've kind of had to set some limits. We have begun a project to interview participants and document their experiences at the center. And I want to read you an excerpt from our most recent interview. Quote, "This place is the best deal in town. It's immaculate. You can be as involved as you want to be," exclaims Charlotte when asked about the Kennett Area Seniors Center. Charlotte, who's been a member for almost 2 years. Membership is optional. We provide services to anyone, regardless of whether they choose to support us through membership. Charlotte is a loud and proud cheerleader of the services offered by the center. She shared, I come 3 days a week for lunch. It's fabulous food, and I participate in silver sneakers. I play canasta and bunco, and I'm about to be trained to help out with produce distribution. Charlotte comes on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays when it's the busiest. She likes it that way. She mentions that participants come from all walks of life and circumstances, and that there is no stigma attached. Everyone here benefits from the produce and the bakery offerings each week. You can be as involved as you want to be. Sit and drink coffee and watch or participate. Charlotte advises area seniors and her friends to get out there and see what's offered. They have tax services. They offer help with technology like phones and tablets. They play games, serve good coffee, and offer the opportunity to make new friendships. If we support it, it will continue. If it were not here, there will be no place to go. Rachel. So that's about us. I want to show you some pictures of everything I've been talking about real quick. First thing I want you to see is that we are cool. That is a picture that I saw that happening and I ran outside with my phone. The lady on the back leads our Bible study group, and that's her son picking her up one day. Her name is Gloria. Where do I point it? I'll let you.
Stand by.
Okay, I shared that we serve lunch Monday through Friday. I took this lunch here on the left was just served a few days ago. And when I saw tons of those plates all made up and how colorful and beautiful they were, I grabbed my camera and took a picture. But that's a typical lunch. We serve an average of 35 people a day. Some days like Fridays, not many. Some days huge, like 65 people. All within, the food has to be ready at noon and the lunch ends at 12:30. So it's quite a group effort to make it happen. Next. Okay, I took this picture this morning on the left so you could see the space empty. It's rarely empty, but that's how it looks 3 days a week when we're set up to receive the days that we have our large 54 chair exercise class. And on the right is a picture of the folks exercising. Next. Once a week, we have produce and other non-perishable goods distribution through a partnership with the Chester County Food Bank. Anyone can pick up produce and food. We have that every Wednesday. We had it this morning. Volunteers, without them, we would be done, literally done. This is just a few examples of people who've helped us out. Longwood Rotary Club, and now I can't remember because the slide went by. Longwood Rotary Club, folks from Chatham Financial, and the lady on the right at the top left is our board chair. When that picture was taken, she wasn't. She was just a plain old volunteer. All right, next slide. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, we had our yard sale. I took that picture at about 6:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. The doors open at 8, but the people were there. So I ran out and got a picture of them. Next slide, please. We have our area's largest indoor organized, clean, sorted by type yard sale, and we do 2 a year, and they are good fundraisers for us. So if you have anything you want to declutter in your home, please come. You can pull right up to the front door, 9 to 2:30, or by appointment if you can't make that time. And we have people who will help you bring your stuff in, and we really appreciate it. On our website, under in-kind gifts is our guidelines. We take most everything, but there are a few things that we don't take. Next. This is just a picture. The picture on the top left is our staff, although one of them, tomorrow's her last day, and the new person will be in that picture next year. This was our holiday event. We had Max and Denise, who many of you probably know, out to entertain, and Mr. and Mrs. Claus, who are also 2 of our main kitchen volunteers. So we do fun things like that with our people. Next slide. We also every year do a big Veterans Day event. This is just a couple pictures of that. And we have what I call a space sharing initiative. If there are times when people approach us and they would like to use our space, and we provide it to them gratis, no rental fee. So in this picture, we've done it for the library when they were transitioning to their new building. This picture in the middle is LCH. They needed space for a couple, I think it was 4 days altogether of staff training. Longwood Rotary Club on the right, 600 and some backpacks. That's already planned for August. We do space Friday night and all day Saturday for packing all these backpacks, and then they're delivered to CACs and various other organizations here in Kennett. And top left, Longwood Rotary Club, Longwood Garden. They meet in Longwood Gardens. I'm a member also. And while Longwood was renovating, they got the boot. So they knocked on my door and I said yes. It seemed like a good idea. And I thought it was only going to be about a month. Turned into 3 months, 5 in the morning, me there, getting ready to receive them at 6. They are a wonderful organization and we're happy to do it, but it's nice to be back at Longwood Gardens. Next slide. We have so many activities. I can't possibly show you all of them. We just did a day at the races as part of Kentucky Derby. And that hallway that you see, we have a photography club. So they always have a display in one of our main hallways so people can enjoy their photographs, always a theme. And some people playing, I don't know what game that is. I'm not a game player. They're playing a game, but we have these really strong game playing people that just love it. So I think that's it. One more, the most important slide. These are just a few of the faces at the senior center. And this is really what it feels like when you're in there. It's just full of laughter and joy and happiness. And they're very accepting and warm when new people come. And it's just a wonderful place to be, a wonderful service for the community, wonderful place for me to work. And we really appreciate the borough's consistent support of the center. Of course, we can always use more if you ever have it in your budget, because like every other nonprofit here in Kennett, we are, always scrapping.
Thank you
Okay.
very, very much, Stephanie.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I also want to let you know, I put some blue folders here on the little table by the elevator door. If you want to learn more about the center, there's the menu, the activities calendar, our current newsletter, all sorts of good stuff in there if anybody's interested in taking a little bit of a deeper dive.
Thank you so much. Any questions from anyone? I think you covered an awful lot there, Stephanie. Thank you so much for what you do for our seniors. 50 and older, remember, 50 and older. Next up although he's a career DuPonter, he is not quite 50. I think next year, Brad, is that year after that? You won't tell us. Anyways, our next presenter is from the Kennett Library, Brad Piper, who most of you know is a Kennett area guy for over 25 years and has volunteered at the library since 2016. Brad, thanks for coming and sharing what's going on.
Good. Well, thanks for inviting the library this evening. Actually, I want to start with a thank you. I think most of you will remember that when we started talking about designing and building the library, one of our important goals was to have a walkable library in the community and one that was accessible to everyone. And so in our building design, we made sure that from stage level to our 2 full floors of activity, our front entrance, back entrance, everything would be ADA accessible and compliant. And now, thanks to Rob and the Borough and the Willow Street project, all of the intersections are ADA compliant. We've got the wonderful paving. And so I think that move has fully delivered on the promise of having a walkable and fully accessible library for the community. So thank you for that. So again, Kennett Library, we've been open for about a year now. I hope you've all been there. If you have, you've seen how busy things are. If we were to look at the metrics, be it book circulation or Wi-Fi usage or the number of people coming through our doors, things have grown 2-3x versus what we had at our formal location. But having said that, and if we advance to the next slide, our basic mission as a library hasn't changed. Our core mission is about literacy and education. And our mission is to achieve those by celebrating inclusivity and diversity in our operations. So one of the things that we offer to the community is a load of programs and services. The vast majority of those are completely free. That is our core mission. And as we talk about literacy, traditionally you think of literacy for libraries as our hard copy books, maybe our digital books, our digital audio and video resources. And next slide, please. While we have all those type of offerings, and that's at the heart of what we provide as the library, when we think about literacy, also very important to us is the education element. And certainly, you know, for our grade-aged students, the local schools do a fantastic job. But what about adults who have not perhaps achieved their GED or their high school equivalency or need language assistance? Or what about preschoolers? So those are areas that the library has operated and focused on. If you want to queue up the next little YouTube video, we've got this adult literacy program. We've got 400 adult students. We've got 100 volunteer tutors. We run these classes daytime and in the evening.
5 words you pronounce wrong 2 years before your brain starts shutting down. Dementia is now known as type 3.
But you're going to hear from one of our students as to the impact of this program on her life.
I am here, the adult literacy program at Kennett Library. My name is Erica. I come from Mexico and I have been living here in the United States 5 years ago. So I am studying English here in this program around 2 years. And for me, this program is awesome because the program helped me a lot. I am so happy and proud for myself because now I can speak English. I am working too hard to get the GED. I passed 3 tests on 2 months. And I have 1 more left, math. In the future, I hope I speak better than now. and my goal is take a career about phlebotomist. I think it's important learn and continue to the education because I have two kids and I want in the future my kids say I love mom and we so proud of you.
So I think hearing from our students really kind of speaks to the impact to the individual. And that impact is just not to the individual, it's to our entire community. So again, that is a very important part of our literacy and our education process. Back to the slides, one of the other things we do off the other end of the spectrum, we go from adults to preschool, is our work with the next one, please, or no, the one before. The one with AHA Foundation and the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. This is a program where any child from birth to age 5 can receive a free book sent to their home. This is funded, again, through the AHA Foundation and Justamere Foundation. The library administers this through all of Chester County. We started this about 1.5 years ago, and we have 8,000 kids on the program receiving books every month at home. And we believe there's nothing more important than to get parents reading to their kids as early as possible, and then obviously to have the kids start that learning to read as early as possible. It puts them on a path that obviously, from an education point of view, points them in the right direction, have a lot of opportunities in the future. So that is just incredibly important and a part of something that we're very proud of. Next slide then speaks to, since we've moved into our new building, beyond that core mission around basic literacy, with our executive director, Chris Manna, he's brought experience and vision. And so he has worked very hard to partner with a lot of nonprofit organizations throughout the area to kind of expand this literacy and expand it, as you can see, to include information literacy, civic and social literacy, health literacy, and financial literacy. So if we go to the next slide, we'll speak first to information literacy. And really what we're talking about here is primarily digital literacy for the community. And again, we welcome people to come in and access our digital resources. We don't expect people to know how to use these things. You'll find the library staff to be very welcoming and helpful. And again, be it using digital resources in our audio video studio, in any of our maker spaces where we have 3D printers and engravers. Again, those are the type of information and skills that we can provide to the community. So that's a very important element that we've worked on. The next slide then speaks to the civic and social literacy. And again, we haven't yet undertaken the TED Talks, but that is on our agenda. Hopefully we'll have that up and running in 2025. That's, again, to bring a variety of information and viewpoints on different relevant topics to the community. Beyond that, the other thing that we're very excited about and we're in the midst of, obviously, is we have an upcoming election. I think everyone knows that on the national stage and other stages at times it can get pretty intense and sometimes not so respectful. Obviously, the library doesn't support that, but what we do support is getting information out there. And we're happy to say that we've had the local leaders of the Republican and Democratic parties come into the library, and we've agreed on a format. We have a repeating series of meetings in our 110-seat auditorium. We put an issue out there, and each party has the opportunity to state their position and the background behind that. It doesn't become a debate. It's just a sharing of information so that people can get the information as directly as possible and make up their own minds. And after we go through that portion of the session, then we lighten it up a little bit. It's in the auditorium. We show a current kind of a Hollywood political movie, something like The American President or something like that, that again, kind of speaks to the, I think, the American values that we all support. So again, we try to do it in an engaging but meaningful way for the public. The next slide speaks to health literacy. And again, we have partnerships and we're working with LCH, Penn Medicine, Christiana Care is coming into our area. One of the things where we think we can play a role is, if you think about it, the first time that you have health counseling shouldn't be when you're on a gurney in the emergency room suffering a heart attack, right? So again, we provide a forum where, perhaps with your primary doctor, you should be having those discussions. But if you're like me, the 10-minute appointment time that I have usually doesn't allow for much of a discussion. So again, we have representatives from these medical organizations come in to the library into private confidential spaces where people can sit down and get counseling, be it on lifestyles, diet, exercise, anything that can help them improve their quality of living. So again, that's an area that we're happy to be supporting moving forward. And then we move on to financial literacy. As you read the slide, I believe it says something like 80% of kind of the growing job market requires more than a high school education. Beyond that, it's obvious to all of us that people cannot survive on minimum wage. And so the library is looking at how do we get people from minimum wage to a living wage. One of the things we work towards is with our adult literacy program and other education programs, how can we connect our adult students and those graduates to organizations like Longwood Gardens, like Tri-M, like Penn Medicine, other local businesses, so that we can channel them into their apprenticeship program so that they have a path to kind of improve their financial position in the community and obviously with their family. Beyond that, obviously we provide different seminars, be it on kind of managing your savings through your working years or planning for retirement. I think with Stephanie and the Senior Center, I saw an area where we should be cooperating together, and that is around tax preparation. You'll see VITA, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. That's a group that is part of the IRS. They provide free tax service to anyone who seeks it. This was the first year that the Kennett Library provided space for those folks to provide that service in our community. First year, and we were the second largest site within all of Chester County in terms of the number of people that use the VITA service. So again, we plan on continuing that and building that as we go forward. Next slide. So again, I know we have a lot of community-minded folks in here. I hope you have all been to the library and have seen the facilities. But I can tell you, as I talk throughout the community, there are still a lot of people who have not come through our doors. So again, help us get the word out that yes, we are your basic library. We have books, we have digital media, hard copy media, but a lot of what we are about is a resource center. And if you look at the slide above, it shows our 110-seat auditorium where we have just a number of movie nights, lectures, magic shows, just all sorts of events. There's a constant calendar of activities that you can see on our website. The next slide shows our children's area. Second floor is the children's area. The theme is the outdoors. You'll see the blue sky, the clouds, the trees area. It's constantly busy with story time. One of the pictures shows our makerspace where, again, kids can get introduced to computers, to coding, and things like that. Next slide is the first floor. On the left is the Bayard Taylor room. That's one of our designated quiet spaces for people who like the traditional library. And that room is dedicated to our historical namesake, Bayard Taylor. On the right is just kind of most of the areas in the library you'll see have low shelving and these glass curtain walls so that everything is bright and with natural light streaming in. So It's a comfortable place to be. Next slide. Meeting rooms. In addition to that auditorium, we have 14 meeting rooms, anywhere from 4-person rooms to 35-person rooms. They can be configured in all sorts of classroom settings, seminar settings, and again, just a great flexibility and meeting space for the community. And during nice weather, enjoy our terrace. That's right on State Street. And again, if you want to have your lunch outside or read a book outside, certainly that space is available. Next slide shows 2 of the pictures are our tech areas. And again, you don't need to be a bookworm to come into the library. For those people who like the hands-on makerspace, working with 3D printers, engravers, we've got folks who work with electrical circuits and so forth. And then we have the audio video studio. People can put together demo tapes, audio blogs, actual kind of TV, television programs as well. And the next slide is just a picture of just some of the activities that you'll see any day when you walk in the library. So we've got, I see Day of the Dead that we did with the local organization. We have Chef Mossy doing a cooking lesson. We have the French Club. There's a large French-speaking community in Chester County, believe it or not. We actually had the French consulate leader from Philadelphia visit, and we have the largest collection of books in French of anywhere in the county. So remember that as a fun fact. And then on the right are the kids, as I said, and in this case, putting together the little electronic circuits and doing some real learning in that area. Next slide. So again, you can look at the listing, go to our website. There's crochet, there's yoga, there's all types of activities for everyone. I encourage, get the word out. As much as we think we've promoted this library, as I said, there's still so many people who have not had access to our space. Last slide. Oh no, this is an important one. Just some numbers again. I started with numbers and I'll end with numbers. There were 1,949 library visits by Kennett Borough residents in the month of May. That's nearly a 3x increase from a year ago. If you look at the library card holders, it's about 13% increase. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's Kennett Borough residents make up 12.7% of all card holders. Remember, we serve 8 municipalities, so 12.7%. And that's an increase of 20% within the boroughs since last year. The next one is that there were 2,549 items checked out in the month of May. That was a 31% increase. So as you look at those 3 items, when I first saw that, it confused me. If the card holders and the circulation is increasing by 20 to 30%, how is it that the visits are increasing by 300%? And it's rather obvious. We still have the people coming in for the books and the media, but it's our meeting space. It's the auditorium. It's the 14 other meeting rooms. People are using our facility as a resource center, and that is where the traffic, a lot of the added traffic to the library is coming from. So with that, last slide, I promise. Again, when most people think about the library, you think about books. As I've talked about these added dimensions of literacy and as the library is a resource center, I hope some of these words come into your vocabulary as you think about what the library provides to the Kennett Square community. So thank you for your time. Any questions, comments?
And if there's any chat comments on Zoom, we're happy to take them as well. Any questions or comments?
I like both those presentations. I think the borough website ought to have something about your affairs. The more people would see it, maybe go to your site afterwards, but if they learn, other people go to the borough website to find out what's going on with the borough.
Yeah.
So maybe if you have a dinner or a fair, maybe they would put it on their website. Somebody would then say, okay, then I'll start going to the library out there.
Anything we can do through social media, through emails, newsletters, word of mouth. Again, as I said, a lot of people still have a very traditional thought of what libraries are, and we're trying to bill ourselves as a 21st century library. I think we are. So once they come in our doors, then people understand what we're talking about.
We'll take that. I think it's a good suggestion. We'll make sure that we're capitalizing and sharing. Is there a link already, Kyle?
I think there is, and we always cross promote
Yeah.
on our updates. So we could probably do more.
Good idea.
You can talk.
Brad, quick question, two quick questions. One is operationally, I know the library is significantly larger, but it was designed somewhat to try to keep the operational costs down. Has that been successful? How is it going once you've been open a year now?
So we've been open a year. You know, you saw in the design where we have these low bookshelves, open sight lines, and the whole thought was, yeah, we could minimize the number of staff people needed in order to be able to manage what is happening in the library with those clear lines of sights. So that has worked to a certain extent. But I will tell you, we do have a learning of what it's going to take to fully operate that space as we need to. You know, we've talked about being open on Sundays, on Friday evenings. We're not there yet in terms of being able to, from a budget point of view, support that. The programs that we've talked about in terms of these maker spaces where we love to teach people how to do this stuff. Well, guess what? People with library degrees aren't taught how to use 3D printers and engravers and things like that. So we're working, our director is working with Westchester University to get interns, working with, I think the high school is helping us in a number of areas as well to help with some of those staffing needs. But having said that, we have clearly identified significant additional operational support that we need. And so our focus, in fact, the library held a retreat just last week, is looking at how we continue to provide that support through grants and other activities that we're pursuing. We've opened our library. That's history at this point. Now we want to make sure we fully fund it in a sustainable way. So that's the board's number one job.
What's the biggest surprise since you've opened that you didn't expect?
That's a good one. I shouldn't say it's a surprise, but I guess I'll just say I'm overwhelmed by the reception that we've had by the public. You know, it's just everyone has been so supportive. Those of us who had worked on the building committee and realized, oh, that one bathroom faucet isn't working quite properly or things like that. You know, people come in and they just express their appreciation for having that type of facility in Kennett Square and serving the 8 municipalities.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing all that this evening. Third and last up is Mr. Mark Tracy, who's the CFO of Kennett Consolidated School District. 36 years in education, 23 of them in Kennett Consolidated. Heads up finance, operations, facilities, construction, technology, food, transportation, including the buses, and just an all-around good guy. I guess they get their money's worth out of you, Mark, no?
I have a lot of good people, a lot of good people.
What's going on?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me this evening, and I apologize for my back. It's a different setup here. But really, thank you to the borough. I love Kennett Square. I love coming down for the events, whether it's the Clover Market or the Beer Fest or the Memorial Day Parade. But it's a great place to be. I live right outside. I do pay taxes here through your earned income tax because I live in East Marlboro, but you're doing many things right. It's a great town. I also wanted to say thanks to Kyle, Chief, Rob. I mean, we've been able to pick up the phone for things that we can't solve internally, and all these gentlemen come right to our aid. So thank you for your service. This evening, I want to be quick. Bob told me I had an hour, and then I heard it was only 15 minutes. So we're going to skip through some things. I like it more interactive. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. As Bob mentioned, I've been there for 23 years. I'm becoming the statesman, about 4 more years to my retirement. So we're going to keep things rolling. We have a lot of things going on. First and foremost, if it's up, we have a new superintendent. This will be my 4th superintendent at Kennett. Dr. Kimberly Rizzo Saunders will be arriving in August. Dr. Dusty Blakey will be leaving at the end of July, and we're going to have a short interim acting superintendent to kind of bridge us over during the summer months. But we're very excited. We're already meeting Dr. Rizzo Sanders pretty much on a weekly, if not bi-weekly basis. One of the big things we just discussed Monday night, I think it's important to everybody, certainly it affects everybody's wallet, is our taxes. We have a general operating budget this year. We've crested 100 million. We're sitting at about 103 million. The proposed tax increase as of today, that's certainly subject to change as our board meeting is Monday night. We are still in the final little shuffling after Monday night's finance committee meeting, but we're sitting at a 2.82% tax increase. The good news is that's offset a little bit by a homestead farmstead. For those of you that own your residential property, not rentals, not industrial, not commercial, but it's defined as a primary domicile, and you receive a rebate called a homestead. Most individuals qualify. You only have to apply once, and then it carries through as long as you own that house. That is going up by 61. So the net increase is about $107 for your average household. We do expect board ratification next Monday. Next slide, Rachel. Okay. What's going in the borough of Kennett Square? We got a lot going on. We actually have graduation on Friday evening. Next Tuesday is the last day for our teaching staff. And then the 12-month people like myself get very busy during the summer with a lot of projects. Our biggest project right here at the high school, we are doing complete re-roofing. We're actually putting on a roof on top of a roof to save a little bit of money. We looked at 3 different methodologies. That was bid out. That will begin actually on the 12th. So the day after our faculty leaves, we're going to mobilize and we're going to do a complete overhaul of the roof of the high school, including the annex, the field house, and the concession stand. That work should all be done by the beginning of school, hopefully. We're also doing work on the parapet walls at buildings 1930. A lot of the bricks wick water, probably very similar to this building. So we're encasing all the roofs that you can't see to not change the aesthetics of the exterior with metal panel siding. The auxiliary gym is finally getting renovated. New floor, new bleachers, new lights, new paint, new backboards. School resource officer, thank you to the chief, both here and at Southern Chester County Regional. We have come to an agreement to equally compensate both of the police departments for an SRO, one at our middle school, one here at the high school in Mary D. Lang. But that's been a great service to our community of students. Moving on to, well, actually the next slide is the new sign out front of the high school, which we're just coming before Borough Council and the Planning Commission to get approvals to move forward with this. We do have a variance hearing that we'll be applying for because of the size of the sign. It is not permitted by use currently, so we're going to submit that. Our goal is to have the new sign. This is at the corner of either 82 and Keolan and South Street, but it's a full turnkey job. The old brick sign, which always has outdated, signage in it, is going to be flipped out. This will be a lit sign, so each one of the letters can be independently lit. So 4th of July, we can do our red, white, and blue. For Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we can light the whole thing up pink. So it's going to sort of modernize. This concept was actually designed by our students at the high school. Moving on to Mary D. Lang. The future of Mary D. Lang right now is being questioned as we're embarking on building 2 brand new elementary schools. There is going to be a board decision whether or not to move kindergarten back into the elementary schools. That's going to be forthcoming. I don't really have any more information. They will be publicly advertised meeting as the board actually deliberates on whether or not to push kindergarten back into the 3 elementary schools. At that time, we'll also have to look at, if we make that decision, how to repurpose that building. But we're still investing in Mary D. Lang. Our first job is also a complete roof replacement overlay on that building. These are 30-year roofs that we're putting on. That is actually going to begin shortly after the 12th. It's a separate company, all bid through state bidding. We're also going to be putting on 3 brand new rooftop units, HVAC units. We will need some road closures. We take over the parking lot. We expect that to happen during the Thanksgiving break. So that building has been pretty much renovated over the last 10 years. Next slide, please. Projects outside the borough. We are building 2 brand new elementary schools on the sites of Greenwood and New Garden, both located directly behind the existing buildings. New Garden is already underway. So if you go down New Garden Road, you will see the back 10 acres completely under construction at this time. We have construction trailers, we have perimeter fencing. There's a lot of equipment going on. We're pouring foundations as we speak. That project came in at about $58 million. We expect to open that in the fall of 2026. That is a 660 capacity building. At the time it's open, we will raise the old existing building. Greenwood is a little bit behind that schedule right now. We expect, actually, we just went out to bid at the end of May. We're on the market. We'll open bids in July and look for board approval in August. It's another very large building, 105,000 square feet. So anybody who's been to Bancroft, these are equally sized buildings. We expect that building to cost around $60 million by the time we're done. It is a very tight site, so we're going to be doing some staging. We're already moving modulars out front this summer. That has an on-site septic, which we're building this summer. And part of the building will actually be demoed in September to give an access drive to the back so we can start building. We are already through Kennett Township's planning commission, so that project is off and running. I do have a couple videos to give you an idea of what they look like. They're pretty short, but if you could just bring up New Garden.
Switch to Chrome to load your favorite sites fast, so you can browse with ease. Fast, safe, yours.
What we'll do is the next one actually take you into the building. So these 3D renderings will actually allow us to go through the buildings, but because they're very similar, we'll just take you through one of them. That's correct. Actually, there's a slide in here. We do a 10-year projection. We use a third party to actually come in. Sundance Associates did one. We are required to do that for PDE to make sure we don't overbuild. But we actually went up to about 4,200, a little bit north of that. Our projections have us lowering down to about 3,700 and then leveling there. So gone are the class sizes of 360, 350. From the middle school down, they're all less than 300. Not yet. I mean, I would like that decision sooner than later. We do have some interested parties that offer education.
Supercharge your business with the all-new Shopify Point of Sale, the all-in-one POS solution built on the world's most powerful commerce platform. Whether you have one location or 1,000, Shopify Point of Sale can help you elevate your e-commerce strategy, streamline operations, and increase sales. So get your business ready for the future of retail today and switch to Shopify Point of Sale. Sign up for a free trial today.
Sure, we can. No, there's other information. This is all available on our website.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Can it keep me warm when I'm cold?
Wait, no, I'm always hot.
Sleep Number does that. Now save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed, plus free home delivery when you add an adjustable base. Shop now at sleepnumber.com.
But next week, we'll actually open up a live webcam so you can actually see the construction. And then periodically, we're going to be doing time lapse so you can actually see the building coming out of the ground in a very short time clip. Thank you.
I'm Jared Bilsack, and at Breslin Architects, we specialize in learning environments. So the exciting thing about being an architect is planning for the future. And then manifesting those plans into built environments where communities of people will live, work, learn, and inhabit.
Not really added many more regular education teachers. As we mentioned, our enrollment is going down. It's all in the area of support services. Although the world has seemed to recover from COVID, many services that relate to COVID type of issues continue to grow, and we're trying to address those through mental health therapists, behavioral health therapists. We certainly have analytical and speech and some other areas. So there was just a presentation on the Finance Committee meeting from our Director of Pupil Services and Supports. I encourage you to look at that video. All that is captured on board docs. So you go to our school board meetings. All of our meetings are recorded and available for video. Pretty much our budget is heavy with salary and benefits. If you're wondering how we're funding the $120 million for the new building programs, we just got done paying off the middle school and Bancroft. So very similar to your mortgage, our mortgage was coming to an end, and rather than letting that be depleted, we're rolling that into $120 million worth of municipal tax-free bonds. The one before, if we're not going to watch the video, this is our budget broken down. This is basically our object codes as designed by the Pennsylvania Department of Education, just showing that the bulk of our business is salary and benefits and personnel. And then we have a lot of other services like large contracts with the Craft Bus Company, with our para-educators, which are handled through CRESS and GHR, a couple other outside organizations. And then we have our debt service, which is how we're funding the building program. You can go to the next slide. And this is our enrollment projections, back to Bob, your point. Really once our community stopped growing, the kids stopped coming. So I've seen this kind of, as we were looking at we built the middle school, we were building Bancroft, our projections showed enrollment sizes of over 5,000 students. So it's quite the dynamic to actually see it going the other way. We need kids. We're always advocating for the kids. It's not charter schools. It's not private schools. All those numbers are down for our students and our communities as well. It's just that we have less kids in the communities, in the schools, and schools that serve our community. And that's really all I had this evening, but I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate what you do for the kids in our community. Any questions from anyone? Mark, what portion of the school budget is locked in either salaries and contracts and state mandates? How much discretion do you have?
Well, that's a great question. It's very hard. Mandates are very general. I'll give you an example. Our teachers, collective bargaining agreements. So we do have certified teachers. That's a mandate by the state. What you pay your teachers is really subject to our local authority. So we go through a negotiated process with our collective bargaining unit to arrive on that. The state will say you have complete local control over that. But it is a fairly competitive market, and we've seen that more than ever as they're producing less and less teachers. So it's driving our cost up in that market. Likewise with benefits, the second biggest sector of that, we're not required to offer medical or prescription. There are things that we do to enhance our employee being, fairly compensated as well as attracting individuals. Retirement is mandated. Our retirement system, the district has to pay about 36% on every dollar. It's a very large item. We get half of that back from the state. So our expense is about 18% for every dollar spent in a mandatory retirement. Special education almost is all mandated. It's not mandated per individual, but the mandates are built into the system to make sure every kid receives that free and appropriate education. So it's a good bounce. A lot of it is local control. A lot of it is making the schools attractive, meeting the needs of the communities, listening to community, and certainly we have a representative democracy as a board. We have 9 board members, and that has really stayed consistent. It's one of the reasons why I stay at Kennett. Excellent board, excellent community support.
That's great. Well, thank you very, very much to Mark, to Brad, to Stephanie, to you and the organizations that you represent for doing what you do for the folks in the Kennett area. Thank you very, very much. Unless there's any other comment from the council, staff, manager?
I'll just share a quick update here. So we've just sent out the e-newsletter, which goes to about 10,000 people updating this week's actions. The borough mid-year report will be mailed to all residents and businesses over the next 2 weeks. So look for that in your mail. And the electronic version has been posted to our website, our Facebook page, and the e-newsletter, which just went out. Of note, the Borough app is finally complete. You can download it on the Apple website for free or Android site. And a QR code for it will be on our website, on our Facebook page, on the e-newsletter, and it'll also be going out in the mailed newsletter. So if you have any type of business to do with the borough, you can do it through this app. And eventually we'll actually show all of the requests coming in our responses to them. So it's a pretty good step for us. And a lot of that was the work of our assistant manager, Sonny, who was working tonight on his birthday. So just a kudos to him.
Well, thanks to Sonny and Kyle and all the great staff we have. We appreciate what you do very, very much for the borough and the surrounding area. Thank you all very much. With that, thanks for coming. Next month, we're shooting to have our capital budget up, at least in a draft version, to get that going for next year. And hopefully looking at our strategic work in the priorities. Thanks very much for coming out tonight. Good evening. Motion.